Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I'll bring to you a video that is not financial advice. This is more so to cushion the blow if you have thought about buying bundles of pyrovores like I have before. Um, now, pyrovores are a harvester, and usually this comes up in conversation when thinking about building for a simulation swarm. Usually it comes up, well, I need harvesters, I need pyrovores. Pyrovores are 45-ish dollars, who knows with tariffs, what that might be for some of us in the near future, a pop. So I don't know if I want to invest, fucking $135 a unit. And that's completely respectable. But I do want to at least talk about further applications that maybe we've been sleeping on, uh, in case anybody else takes that plunge of faith. Now, I really like Pyrovores. This might be my third video on Pyrovores. Second or third. Don't remember, but coming back around to it because it's a decent unit. It is a pretty decent unit at most stages of the game, right? Um, for 40 points, we've taken them as singles to do little actions in the corner, come on from the board edge, do an action, score some points. And with the profile of 5 movement, that's not great, but T6, 3 up save, 5 wounds, that's a lot better. That also is another thing as to why I've been so critical of Warriors for a while. Because I'm like, we have better things and cheaper, depending on where you go. And this is one of them that I've kind of related to that. Then you add on Burning Spray in your shooting phase after this unit has shot. Select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the end of the phase. That enemy unit cannot have the benefit of cover. We're familiar with this in the game. A lot of things have this, notably emulators. Emulators are about 115, 125 if the Imperial Sisters one. It's one of them. But it's more than Pyroforce. And, well, the access to this alone is pretty good, especially when you combine that with something like our best Exocrines, right? AP3, ignore cover, is pretty good. But you also have to think about how many shots you get per model. For 40 points, you get D6 plus 1, 611, ignores cover torrent, twin linked. Uh, that's pretty good, 12 inches, right? But then, you tack that on for each model. So at 3 models for 105 points, you're getting 3d6 plus 1 at 611. And that's squad wiping. Now, again, that is costly. This is just considering putting this in your list after you've already decided that you don't mind that build of Assimilation Swarm, because I do want to stress at the same time that I am not somebody that thinks that you need that many Pyrovores to play Assimilation Swarm. I think you'll be fine with Rippers, Psychophages, a Harspec if you want, a Norn Assimilator if you want. I think you'll be fine without oodles of Pyrovores. So let me stress that again. This is specifically if you're wondering, well, I can afford to do this, but I don't want to only play one detachment. That's what this video is. So I want us to consider it, and I will talk about one thing that is kind of annoying with this, with the Pyrovores. They have 80 millimeter bases. So, there's two, it's a double-edged sword here. You can screen out things pretty well. You can overwatch pretty well. Trying to move things can be annoying. They are infantry, thankfully, so that means they can go through terrain and shit. However, uh, trying to keep them in, like, coherency can be a bit annoying. So, to that point, on top of that, I don't even know if you have to go for the max of 3. if you stop at 70 points for two models, giving you 2d6 plus 2, 611, ignores cover, torrent, twin linked, that's not a bad package either. And then I want to talk about that comparison even further for our data sheets. Some of our other flamers being a Neurotyrant. Now, notably, in Synaptic Nexus, you can give Power of the Hive Mind and make this a 6/2/2 flamer. 2d6, ignores cover, psychic, torrent. 105 points. For 105 points here, 105 points here, that's 3d6 plus 3, 2d6, 512, 611. So, if we're going just 105 to 105, now mind you, often you're not relying on the Neurotyrant's Flamer. You're using it for the other applications. But it does go to say that for 105 points, that's not a bad package comparatively. If you need to take the Neurotyrant and a specific detachment and then bump this up to 115 to make it a 6/2/2 Flamer at 2d6, yeah, that is a better Flamer. I am not going to act like it's not. But at the same time, the minimum number of shots is also something to be considered. 3d6 plus 1, yeah, there's a good chance that you're getting more shots than 2d6 of 6/2/2. And depending on your target, that can make all the difference, especially when we're still talking about the same strength, right? The AP, yeah, that makes it harder for your opponent to have the saves for it. But if it's something that has an invuln, and we're talking things that have ignores cover anyway, you take that save to AP, I'm sorry, to invuln saves of 4. Anyway, the only thing you're missing out on is damage, maybe. And because you have an entire Pyrovore worth of shooting that might be following up that damage. Now, again, that's not a perfect. We're talking about D6 rolls here. So, should it average out to being better? Probably. Will it always? Can't guarantee it. But for 105 to 105, that's not bad. Now, again, going to the cost standpoint, just to reiterate, this is not a financial advice video. This is just if you've already made that plunge and you feel bad about it, or you think you might feel bad about it, but you're able to do it comfortably, okay? Um, Neurotyrant is cheap. I usually try not to do this, but do not buy, uh, fucking whatever, something of the hive mind, horrors of the hive mind, if you can. If you live in a country or a spot that has something like eBay, which is like, people just sell shit, look there first. Do not buy the $60 or whatever the fuck it is off of GW, because people are selling Neurotyrants for like $10. Don't do that if you can. Look other places first. If you're comfortable with it, but I'm just trying to save you some money on that front. Uh, then going over to another famous flamer, the Tyranofex. Acid Spray Torrent. D6 plus 6, 6/2/2. Noticeable things about the Tyranofex's Torrent here. And also the Neurotyrant, not twin linked. So, what you roll on the wounds is what you get. Tyranofex isn't twin linked and it doesn't ignore cover. And also notable on the Neurotyrant, it's psychic. For whatever reason, GW did psychic weird this edition, so some things have feel no pain versus psychic attacks. So, another thing points for the Pyrovore. But coming back to the Tyranofex and the Acid Spray, one of the things that I'm like, hey, you're spending 200 points for an Acid Spray. I don't think you need to do that. Don't get me wrong, it is harder to lift a Tyranofex. Usually. But if you have 3 Pyrovores, you need at least 3 shots. There is a chance that something one-shot your Tyranofex. It's possible. Um, what that could be, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I feel like there's a railgun from a Tau fucking something or a Astra Militarum something that does fucking 20 damage or something, but it's possible one shot or 2. For example, if you get out rupture cannoned back and forth, two shots, you still need a third to take out the bundle of Pyrovores. And coming back to the differences, we're talking just torrent to torrent. So when I say, hey, I don't know if you need 200 points just for a Tyranofex to do the acid spray, don't get me wrong. Acid spray is good. It's cool. And it's cheaper. You can get a Tyranofex for $50 about now, 60 maybe. But it doesn't ignore cover, and it isn't twin linked. So yes, the D6 plus 6 is more reliable. You will have at least 7 shots. But you're also a monster. So that means that you're not going through things. I should note that for the Neurotyrant as well. You have Fly, which makes it a little bit better, but you're still a monster. So you're not just straight up going through walls outside of Crush or Stampede. And you don't have Ignore's cover. So if there's any bit of cover, your AP goes back to that AP1. Now we don't really want to be at if I'm investing 200 points, but if it's going to be AP1, it could be almost half the price over here. Um, then the damage too. So again, to the same point of the Neurotyrant, if I have more shots, that's more damage. So it goes all the ways. So I guess another consideration before some of the list, obviously outside of Crusher Stampede probably, where we're going for the third Tyranofex but making it acid spray, maybe, just maybe, we consider Pyrovores. And again, we don't have to go to the third model. If we want to make it easier to maneuver around the board, 70 points 2d6 plus 2611 is pretty good, ignoring the benefit of cover. Or, sorry, stripping the benefit of cover. That's pretty darn good. And one of the other things that has been itching my brain with the Pyrovores is, yes, I just acquired another one. Why do you think we're making this video? And I'm trying to make myself feel better. Um, I've been thinking about the applications of it in other places. So, Vanguard Onslaught, why would I think about this here? I just thought about how maybe this might be on us. Maybe the build shouldn't be how many Vanguard invaders can I fit in a list and then wonder why I have no damage. Maybe we should be taking advantage of the fact that everybody gets fallback in charge, so that means my blasting shooting can do things, and I can just shoot, really. My best guns in the army have blast, so it'd be helpful if my things can disengage and then re-engage. Or, any of that shenanigans. But Uh, Vanguard Invader is famous for Vanguard Invaders. Sorry, Vanguard Onslaught is famous for Vanguard Invaders, but also the things you can do with infantry. We've seen people bring barb guns. We've seen every now and again. We've seen Swarm Lord with Tyrant Guard. We've seen Think Tank, Neurotyrants with Zoes to uppy downy in places and blast something away. Why not take that same infantry love and apply it to Pyrovores that you bought because you like Assimilation Swarm? And also going to Assimilation Swarm, where it should be noted, we saw this at one uh, event. I can't remember which one, but there was like a list that had, what was it, like 7 or 8 Pyrovores? I think it was 8. Um, 332, I believe. But if you regenerate an infantry model, T6, 3 up save, 5 wounds, that's pretty good to get back. We're doing Tyrant Guard because they're T8 with 4 wounds. So, at a certain point, maybe that additional wound offsets the toughness. Now, there's different breakpoints, of course, but, I can see where people go, I want Pyrovores to bring back. So, if you've done that for Assimilation Swarm, maybe there's hope for us to do what people have tried to do with barb guns with Pyrovores. To the same situation where if I'm uppy downying Pyrovores around the board edges, 12 inches of range on the shots, 3d6, that means that it probably can pick up a squad, right? Like, it probably can pick up a squad that's a little less than a foot off the board edge. right? That's what that means that can do. You don't necessarily need to worry about that pick up and down and then charge 9 inches or whatever shenanigans. You can kind of just flame on something away, which of course we do with the think tank, but Zoes have 24-inch range, so it's a little bit better, a little bit more forgiving on that front. But just to say, a reactive move or uppy downing Pyrovores doesn't sound like the worst thing to start trying in Vanguard Onslaught for 105 points. Uh, an emulator that can teleport, yeah, that sounds pretty good in my eyes. Now, another one, Warrior Bioform Onslaught. You already have access to stripping cover with the ranged bioweapon warriors. Why not do it again in some other location? And the other thing about Warrior Bioform Onslaught, as people are developing their builds for this, it has spontaneous hypercorrosion. So, there's a chance for your unit to go to 811, ignores cover twin linked. That, for 105 points in one command point, will pick up some decent amount of things. So, if you're investigating Warrior Bioform Onslaught, there's some things there, I would believe. And the final one, Invasion Fleet. Of course, since you are using a Flamer, you do not benefit much from the detachment rule, if at all. You don't at all. But 3 bodies at T6, 3 up save, 5 wounds, getting a 5 up feel no pain, making your opponent's life harder for the rest of your shooting coming in that is sustained and or lethal. That doesn't sound too bad, right? That doesn't sound too bad. So even something as simple as Invasion Fleet can have an application for 3 bodies that, again, it's just 3 bodies, right? At the end of the day, this unit is still 3 bodies. We're seeing similar profiles do okay right now. This is better than Terminator is. Wounds that tend to lack to be desired because you'd be looking at about 20 for a unit, right? Um, so we're looking at 15 for a unit here. But the T6 means that something has to be dedicated. And I'm not disillusioned enough to say that for 105 points, 380 millimeter bases that can do fire Overwatch to about the same capacity as as a Tyranofex isn't that bad. So this again is not a buyer's go spend $135 on Pyrovores. Not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that we gave Assimilation Swarm a tough time, and we continue to, because it seems pretty pricey to do so. But if you are wondering if you can take your Pyrovores anywhere else, I think we can. And that isn't to say that you can't still take it into like Crusher Stampede. That way you can double down on Ignores cover there. Uh, Unending Swarm probably could love it too. Oh, Synaptic Nexus, it already has twin linked, but if you can forego Exocrines and then strip some cover and then the Think Tank fires, I think people would appreciate, or I think you would appreciate it, your opponent probably won't, something to that extent. Giving them a 5 up invuln and something like Synaptic Nexus to the same point of Invasion Fleet, uh, giving them a 5 up invuln for a turn, yeah, that making them even harder to lift. I think your opponent might not like that. So it just goes to say, and then hell, even something like making wounds come through so that they have to take a battle shock test more often because you're auto wounding with a flamer. You'll get some wounds through. So I'm just saying that if you have taken the plunge to buy Pyrovores, it's not the worst investment. I could think of worse, and yes, I am probably justifying to myself the latest Pyrovore purchase. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.